Are you Tony's Stank?
Well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening from or watching from. We're here. The first episode of the podcast after an episode of a Marvel film or TV show. We're here finally. God damn it. Before we go any further though, I have one thing to ask of you. Yes, you. Not anyone else, you. Please go on over to Twitter. We now have a Twitter page. It is at Delivery MCU. If you give me a follow and interact on there, I want to be as interactive as possible with you guys, and we can chat about things in real time. So please go give it a follow now. Let's go on the episode. Okay, so yes, here we are. Apologies, my voice is a little bit croaky. I've not been able to speak for the last couple of days, or it's been really hoarse, but it seems to be a bit better. Some sort of like Barry White kind of feeling to it. I don't know. Anyway, we are here with the first episode of What If has been and gone. So if you haven't watched it yet, obviously there will be spoilers in this chat. Feel free to go away, watch it, pause this, come back once you've watched it. We will be here waiting for you, so don't you worry one little bit. Okay, so what if the plot of this first episode, the storyline, is that in an alternate reality, Peggy Carter becomes a super soldier rather than Steve Rogers and uses her newfound power to bring the Nazis to the brink of disaster. But Red Skull plans to use a Tesseract to unleash a champion of Hydra on Earth, assuring Hydra's domination. Oh. As we spoke about on the first sort of podcast, the Welcome podcast, we had Haley Atwell back. She was back as Peggy Carter. We also had Dominic Cooper back as Howard Stark. So these guys are from obviously the first Captain America film, Captain America First Avenger. We also had Stanley Tucci as well, who was back as Dr. Erskine. And the likes of Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, Toby Jones as Arnim Zola, of course, and we also had, as we spoke about, Jeffrey Wright as Uatu the Watcher, who is our narrator, who is our lens into this multiverse, this animated multiverse. So, yes, it all starts off. What we'll do, we'll go through the sort of episode, not exactly scene by scene, but we'll stop off at important bits. We'll chat about it, and yeah, we'll kind of dive a little bit deeper into it. Now I did watch it one time. I watched it 3 times now, and I've got notes and things like that as well. So if I've missed anything, please, as I said, follow me on Twitter. Follow at Delivery MCU on Twitter, and let me know what I've missed, or if there's any other bits and pieces that you saw, or that you think has happened or will happen, and give me all your thoughts. I want to hear from you guys, so please do that now. Okay, so first of all, we have obviously the normal kind of Marvel opening, the Marvel Studios logo, but it actually changes into like an animated logo. Pretty much the same, but it just is telling us that this is the different part of the universe. Now we go into Uatu, who tells us about the how time and things are different and isn't quite a straight line, or what does he say? He says time, space, reality, more than a linear path. That's what he says, more than a linear path. So as we obviously found out with Loki, there's different multiverses, and coming into this, it basically opens. It's almost like it's weird. It's like almost like a glass smashes into tiny pieces, and within those pieces, there's even even more possibilities, realities. Obviously, this one we follow is the Peggy Carter one, becoming Captain America. But when we go into the Peggy Carter as Captain America, or sorry, as Captain Carter, not Captain Britain, Captain Carter, we see all these other little branches and shatters throughout her universe, or her dimension, which seems to have its own little parallel branches. So I think what's showing us is that there is even more parallel dimensions within these parallel dimensions, and what that means for the MCU is that, you know, they've got limitless, absolutely limitless paths to uncover and to go down. And it just, you know, yes, it makes me so excited, so excited. Okay, so the first sort of insight into this story, the Steve Rogers and Peggy Carter story that we get, is pretty much, it's almost shot for shot of when Steve gets the Super Soldier Serum in Captain America, the First Avenger. There is the group of scientists, there's Peggy, there's also Howard as well, and Steve gets into the Super Soldier cocoon, metal cocoon thing. But before he does that, where in the film, Peggy's asked if she'd be happier up in the booth, or looking down, basically. This time she says no, she wants to stay on the ground floor where everything's happening. What this means is that Peggy and all the scientists, etc., including the Hydra agent, are all on the same level, the same floor as the Super Soldier Serum cocoon. And so the Hydra agent actually sets off the bomb right next to Dr. Erskine, who gets killed instead of being shot by the agent. It all blows up, things go to pot, people are flying, bodies are flying, fires are happening, and Steve gets shot by the Hydra agent as well, but survives. So it kind of, Peggy then kills the Hydra agent, and it's a kind of rush to get something done with the Super Soldier experiment, because if they don't do it now, they're going to lose billions of dollars. It might be their only chance. And Peggy decides to step in. Okay, so we get Peggy coming out of the Super Soldier cocoon. That's what I'm calling it. Super Soldier cocoon, because that's basically what it is. And she is looking buff, baby. Buff. Ripped. Buff. And she comes out, obviously, as I say, she's now a super soldier. And her boss, Colonel Flynn, who is, as Collective Unit, thank you very much for this Collective Unit, pointed out to me, is actually voiced by the same actor that voiced her boss in the Marvel one-shot, which was called Agent Carter. He is very misogynistic. He is not happy that a woman has got the Super Soldier Serum and she's not a super soldier. They essentially use her as like a human pincushion, and you see a lot of vials of her blood, which they're hoping to make super soldiers with men, because he's a misogynistic pig. Thinks that women are worse than men. I mean, okay, it is the 1940s, but still, come on, God. Now we then go to Peggy and Steve. Steve's doing his rehabilitation, trying to walk again, kind of like what Rhodey did in Civil War when he gets paralyzed, and Peggy is just kicking, throwing weights around, massive weights, basically like their shields, like their, you know, she kick flips it up, catches it, and like throws it straight through a wall. Come along, we see there's heaps of them. She's been doing this for a while. It's very reminiscent of the scene in Captain America Winter Soldier, so the actual film, where when Cap's in the elevator after the fight with like Frank Grillo's guys, all the Hydra agents and stuff. Then he kicks the shield up and catches it. She basically does that. She's a beast. Like, I don't know what Colonel Flynn's on about. She is an absolute beast. And I don't mean that in a bad way, I mean that in a great way. So that then takes us to Turnsburg Church. Now, this is the church. Again, it's pretty much a shot for shot of the opening of Captain America First Avengers. The Red Skull is on the hunt for the Tesseract. Now, as I say, it's shot for shot. Basically, they roll up to the church. They get in. There's a massive mural on the wall of a tree. I believe it's Yggdrasil, the tree from the tree from like Thor and stuff. Which, yeah. Okay, I was very close. Yggdrasil, which is the tree of the world, or the world's tree, which is on Asgard, and it's used to talk about the 9 realms, which includes Midgard, which is where Earth is. So there is a big mural of that, and underneath, Red Skull sees there's a sphere type thing with tentacles coming out of it, and then a square in the middle, which is obviously the Tesseract, and he gets open and gets the Tesseract. So they are now in possession of the Tesseract. As I say, it's basically what we see at the start of First Avenger. A little bit different, wee bit different, but yeah, same sort of stuff. Right, so then we cut to a bar where Peggy is having a nice wee dram, a nice wee whiskey, and Howard comes in, passes her suit, her Union Jack suit, Captain Carter suit, and of course vibranium shield as well. With the, of course, I would say it's got the Union Jack in the middle as opposed to this star of Captain America. So now Peggy is officially Captain Carter. Okay, so this next scene, sorry, is the first of 2 incredible scenes. Now, as you can tell, I really enjoyed the episode, but there's 2 scenes that stuck out to me, and this is the first of them. We are going to, it's like a Nazi convoy that are on their way to, I don't know if it's the Badenburg Gate or something. It's somewhere. They're on their way somewhere. Motorbike with sidecar at the front, and then trucks at the back. Now, this is where it absolutely kicks off, and I love this. We see Arnim Zola is in possession, in the trucks, he's in the possession of the Tesseract, or we know it's a Tesseract. He's got hold of it, he's clutching onto it for dear life. But yes, they have a Tesseract, and all of a sudden, a shield comes, takes out the motorbike at the front. It's obviously, as we know, Captain Carter. The Germans aren't sure what it is, but we get a massive, incredible hero shot of Peggy, Captain Carter, standing atop the German statue. As I say, I think it's the Badenburg Gate. I'm sure it's called that. God, I'm so close with things. The Brandenburg Gate. I'm so close to things. Okay. So we see Peggy on top of the Brandenburg Gate, and we get a listen of her theme tune. So it's very similar to the Captain America theme tune from when he rescues the soldiers from the camp, or the Hydra place. But what I really love about it, it's got kind of bugly sounds, like louder bugly sounds, which makes it sound a lot more imperial, a lot more British, if that makes sense. It's very like bugly driven, which kind of evoked that imperialistic British feeling for me anyway. So we get a listen of her theme tune, and then she makes her way down to off the Brandenburg Gate. See, I got it first time that time. And we get a nice little hero landing. with the shield. Now, this is incredibly made, this part. A lot of the lighting is like with the gate in the background, the trucks that are coming that using headlights as the lights for that gives so much more depth to the cartoon, to the animation, than just a straight up kind of normally animated sort of thing. Now, she takes out a couple of the trucks with the shield, with the obviously her her strength that she has for the Super Soldier Serum. Absolutely wipes them out. Then gets into a fight in front of the headlights, which just looks absolutely phenomenal. As I say, the way it's lit up, it's so cinematic, but so simple. They've done a fantastic job with the full animation, the fight scenes and everything. It's one of those things that can easily look very cartoony, especially when you're dealing with a super soldier or you're dealing with a comic book character. It could potentially go down that cartoony route, but for me, it felt so visceral, so raw, and I think the lighting, the headlights, there's no fake lights elsewhere. There's no sun, nothing else. It's the lighting, the depth, the shadows, and the way she moves is just incredibly natural for a super soldier. Uses a shield, uses her fists, kicks, slides every so often as well, which again adds a touch of realism to it. Then once you've taken on a few guards, we get this big guy. Try to think of the word from but he essentially squares up to her, and we think she may have met her match. Nope. Absolutely dispatches of him with ease. Breaks his knee. Incredible. Punch the stomach. Boom. Done. Brilliant. Absolutely incredible scene. And then obviously looks in the truck, and there's Arnim Zola. And he swears in German. He does say Scheiße. Now my standard grade German tells me that means shit. So he's not a very happy boy. Okay, so Peggy takes the Tesseract that she got from Arnim Zola back to Colonel Flynn. Shows him that she's much more suited to being out in the field. And Howard Stark then takes possession of the Tesseract because he apparently knows what to do with it. And then obviously what he does, he builds... Now this is crazy. He builds what is essentially an Iron Man suit. It's kind of an Iron Man suit. It looks more like Iron Giant than an Iron Man, but it's like an Iron Man suit before Iron Man. Now, what that obviously means in this universe, in this Captain Carter universe, if we obviously go further down it, there's no... Right, let me just get this right. So, we've got Steve Rogers as Iron Man, or in an Iron Man suit. Bucky doesn't become Winter Soldier. So, Howard Stark and Maria Stark don't get killed by the Winter Soldier. And that means that obviously there's no need or no want for Tony to become Iron Man. So in this universe, there's no Iron Man. Now we obviously know as Iron Man as this, there's a start of our MCU, the start of our MCU. Without the Iron Man film, there's nothing. This universe doesn't even have him. Mental to think that. Crazy. So yeah, we have Howard building the massive suit of armor that looks like Iron Man. And Steve is chosen to be the user of this suit. We then go to Peggy saving she's not saving them here. She, actually, they find out where the people are being kept, and we see Captain Carter running side by side with a motorbike. It's a Nazi motorbike, obviously. She then commandeers the motorbike and makes her way into the Nazi compound to free the soldiers. Now we have a few of the returning soldiers. So Neil McDonough's back, and then obviously Bucky Barnes. So Sebastian Stan is back as Bucky Barnes. This is voice actors, of course. We do see in the background the rest of them. I can't remember their names, but the rest of them that are in obviously the first Captain America film as the soldiers as well. A little joke about how, you know, since when could dames fight, and and then Captain Carter shows them when dames could fight, and that's now. So she saves them all, and she saves obviously Bucky as well. She asks for him by name, rips off the cell door, and they then make their way out the compound with the shooting scene, which is Steve in the film, surrounded by tanks. So they ask for air support, and who is it? Mr. Steve Rogers, in the Iron Man suit, or this sort of prehistoric Iron Man suit, and he destroys all the tanks, and gives us the old "Let's hear it for Captain Carter," which, again, I like to allude back to obviously the film that we saw, or in our universe. So it alludes back to when Bucky says give it up for Captain America. So we've now officially got our Captain Carter here. Right, now we're on to the second standout scene for me. We have a jazz or swing music that's playing in the background. You know, makes you want to swing your hips a little bit to the music. It did for me anyway. And we have Peggy, Captain Carter, is getting a lift from Steve in his Iron Man suit. Now they're helping out with the dogfighting in the sky. Obviously the Spitfires and the Nazi helicopters. Now this is the scene is so good, so perfect. Chef's kiss good. Peggy jumps off Iron. I'm going to call him Iron Steve. Peggy jumps off Iron Steve, flies right through the front of a plane, and there's a tracking shot of her then knocking one of the guys out the plane to the next one, absolutely taking out the driver, the flyer of the plane. I should say there's a lot of what would be deaths in this episode, because there's no way the people are just getting knocked out. A vibranium shield to the skull, like to a normal person at full force, you dead, boy. You dead. Follows her through the plane, taking out guards as she goes. Jumps up onto the back of the plane, off the wing, goes in a bit of free fall, flies on the next plane, absolutely bludgeons the guy who's flying that plane through the cockpit, and then lands back on Iron Steve. It's just phenomenal. As I say, there is it does. I mean, these people are dead. These people have to die. So she's basically killing folk right before her eyes in an animated film. But still, it's so great. If you think of that as like in real life, in a live action film, that is a incredibly technical shot. Okay, it's a little bit easier in an animated film because, you know, you don't have to think about the positioning of things, blah 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 blah. But it feels like a live action long take tracking shot, and it is just phenomenal. And the music in the background as well makes it. It's just Peggy doing her thing. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. We then go to the Nazi, not the Nazi base, the Hydra base, where a Nazi is having a go at Red Skull, like, you know, what are you doing, pal? What are you doing? That was my German accent. I apologize to any Germans I just offended. And And Red Skull essentially tells him that he's not doing it for Germany, he's not doing it for Nazis, he's doing it for Hydra. And he's going to get his champion, his Hydra champion, to fight for him, basically. So we kind of see a bit more about Red Skull's motivations, and how it's not really about world domination. I think it's more about the use of the champion to fight for him, or to use the cosmos. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, basically denouncing the Nazi side of it, and it's more about the Hydra part of it. Okay, then quite an important scene. We have Peggy and Steve sharing a drink in a bar. Peggy tells Steve how she doesn't get drunk. Lucky her. Tanning pints of Jaeger bombs. Wouldn't even touch her. But there's obviously this romantic kind of chemistry between them, which we've known from the start. They go to kiss each other, and Howard Stark turns up, ruins the moment, and tells them that Bucky's stolen a truck, so they're gonna take the truck. Poor guy. Steve just wanted a wee kiss there. Shame. Okay, then we get to the train scene, the train kind of heisty thing. But of course, it is Captain Carter that is the one that is leading this, with the soldiers. But we have Iron Steve come in, trying to stop the train before it gets much further, and make it onto the train. This is the part in Captain America, or sorry, this is like the sort of sequence where Bucky actually falls off the train and is presumed dead. Now, Captain Carter catches him before he falls off. There's a nice little joke here where she pulls him back up and he says, "You almost tore my arm off." Obviously, that's what happened. He lost his arm and became Winter Soldier with the old metal arm there. But Steve unfortunately dies in the blast, or dies in the blast. As Hydra officer were aware of this happening, so they blew up the train. And yeah, Steve's essentially left for dead. So we obviously have the soldiers and Peggy back in the war room, mourning the death of Steve, basically saying that they're gonna do it for Steve. Never mind the end of the war. Gonna do it for Steve. And she goes to talk to Arnim Zola and goes to interrogate him, and says well, he says, "Sorry, I'll tell you nothing." Next shot, he told me everything. Brilliant. Okay, so this now leads into the next scene where they go to the Hydra stronghold, the Hydra base, essentially. Now, this is another fantastic sequence where, again, it's like a long take sort of thing. We have Peggy running, getting up over the walls, illuminated by the moon. So again, the lighting is so natural. There's nothing else to it. It's just using the lighting that would be there if it was real life. But obviously it's not real life. Sorry to break it to you. Gets over the wall, takes out a couple of guards, opens the gate for the guys to make their way in the truck. Again, phenomenal long shot sequence where they then make their way into where the Red Skull is with the Tesseract. Now, the Red Skull is opening a portal using the Tesseract. Once he gets the portal open, we see these tentacles, massive tentacles, start to worm their way out of the portal. And Red Skull talks about how he summoned the champion of Hydra, but before he can finish, one of the tentacles actually picks him up and then crushes him. So Red Skull, dead. No longer. He hath ceased to exist. Yeah. It's quite an undignified ending for him, to be perfectly honest. The soldiers who have went the other way find Steve in the Iron Steve suit. manage to get a bit of power into him, and he goes up to try and save or try and help out Peggy fighting this big old tentacle monster thing. What this leads to is kind of a battle to try and get the tentacle beast back into the portal. Peggy manages to pick up a sword from off the wall, starts to chop at the tentacles. All the while, Howard is trying to reverse the polarity so we can get the tentacle beast back into the portal. Now this kind of works, but it just doesn't get so far. They need a bit of help. Steve obviously tries to help out as much as he can, but there's not much power left in the suit, so it's kind of all down to Peggy. Really, it's all down to her. She is then ends up pushing literally with her shield, manages to push the tentacle beast back into the portal. And her and Steve talk about their dancing date. Again, it's a complete 180 on the film, where it was Steve who sacrificed himself to save the timeline, or to save everyone else. This time it's obviously Peggy. In quite a poignant moment, they look at each other and obviously say their dance date will be next Saturday. So Peggy pushes the tentacle beast back in, and the Tesseract portal closes. Massive explosion, boom, 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 boom. And we see Steve Howard mourning the loss of Peggy. Now, what this does do, opens another portal. This is the next scene we got to. Opens another portal. Some tentacles come flying out, and out comes Captain Carter. But who's there to meet her? Nicholas J. Fury and Mr. Clint Barton. Now, this scene, it looks like, if you remember in the first Avengers film, there's like a almost underground bunkery place that they're trying to get more information about the Tesseract. But then Loki obviously takes over, or steals the scepter, doesn't he? This looks like that place. So I think this is like maybe just a bit before. Obviously Loki uses the Chitauri to try and take over Earth. So does this mean we get to see Captain Carter fighting Loki? There's a Loki variant, of course, as well. We've just been through all that with the TV series of Loki. It's interesting. It's very, 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 very interesting. And then obviously Nicholas Fury tells Captain Carter the war ended 70 years ago. Asks her if she'll be okay. She says okay. She says I'll be fine. She says of course I'll be fine. We won the war. That's what she says. Then that takes us back to Atu, the Watcher. Tells us that how the multiverse now has a new hero. And again gives us the whole speech about how these are his stories, but he cannot, cannot and will not interfere with these stories, with what transpires here. And that's us. That's us. We then get the end credits. And that is the end. That is the end of the episode. So there's lots and lots in there. We've obviously spoken about we've done an overview of the episode. I loved it. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. As I spoke about the scenes with the fighting, the one with the headlights outside the Brandenburg Gate, the long shot with the swing music going through the planes, and then of course the other long shot getting over the wall to open for the soldiers. Phenomenal. That's just 3 excellent scenes in what I found to be very engaging, because essentially what they had to do was take the Captain America First Avengers film, 2-hour film, and condense it into 30 minutes. But obviously still make us care for these characters, because these are essentially new characters. And it did all that. Absolutely perfect. Now, Captain Carter is confirmed for season 2. She's definitely be season 2 of What If. But there is actually a still picture of Doctor Strange in What If speaking to Captain Carter, which we also haven't seen in this episode. So I think she's going to be a recurring character through a lot of these episodes. I just have that feeling. But again, we'll see what happens. So the next episode is out on Wednesday again. Now, the next episode is actually going to be our quite a sad, well, quite an emotional episode, because it is the last role that, or sorry, last bit of voice acting that Chadwick Boseman did as T'Challa. So we're literally going to see the end of T'Challa. So the synopsis for the next episode is: what would have happened if T'Challa, and not Peter Quill, was picked up by Yondu the Child and became Star-Lord? Yeah. That could open a lot. Well, I mean, I say this, of course, open a lot of doors because it's What If. But we'll see how that goes. I'm so excited. If they do, with obviously the way that they made Captain Carter one with the fight scenes, etc., and the humor that they had in it as well. So they had obviously Bucky with some one-liners, quick cuts between like the Arnim Zola saying, "I'll tell you nothing," and then straight to Peggy saying, "He told me everything," or the Shiza. There's a lot of humor in it, and I think that's gonna be perfect for T'Challa being Star-Lord and essentially the Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, it's not really Guardians of the Galaxy, but that sort of down the line thing. Now, I believe in the second episode as well, we're gonna see some Howard the Duck, which will be very cool to see. We haven't had confirmed who is playing him, though, I believe. But yeah, if it's gonna be Howard the Duck, I really hope they bring Seth Green back, who voiced him at the end of, I think it was Guardians 2 post-credit scene, or was it Guardians 1? One of them. No, it was one of them. Yeah, that could be so cool. That would be brilliant if we see that. And I want to see a lot more of Howard the Duck. He's a very interesting, very funny character. So yeah, so that was episode 1 of What If. So we are now at the end of the first proper episode of the Delivery for Tony Stank podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. We kind of just obviously went over the episode, touched on some bits and pieces. I don't think we'll get much more of a bigger picture until we've seen a couple of episodes. Then we can delve more into like the theories, the things that it could kind of lead to. But if you have anything you want to discuss, any theories you have, any thoughts you had about it as well, if you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, please let me know on @DeliveryMCU on Twitter. I will put up a wee post saying that it's now up. Just pop it in there. That's great. I want to hear all your views, please. And what we'll even do is we can show some of the tweets on here on the next episode. And we'll give you a wee shout out as well, just so you know you're loved. But I do really appreciate all the support I've had so far. It's been fantastic to see, phenomenal to see. All the feedback's been great as well. Again, if you do have feedback, please let me know. I'm always up for whatever I can do to make things better, because I'm loving talking about it. It's a thing I'm passionate about, and if I can get to a point where you guys enjoy it as well, then I'm absolutely delighted. The plan is as well, further down the line, is I'm actually going to be doing giveaways. So yeah, so keep listening. There's lots of stuff on the horizon, but we will be back again. I will be hoping to have the next episode released again for next weekend, and we will see where we're at with What If. But as I say, we are now. Well, if you haven't seen on Twitter, we are now on YouTube, which is what you're watching on here if you're watching, Spotify, which again you may be listening on, Google Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. So we're literally everywhere. Like, you can't stop us. We're literally everywhere. I will be getting guests on relatively soon, I think. Might be going into September, where what I'm wanting to do is actually get guests to choose their favorite Marvel film or Marvel show or something, and we can chat about them. I will be reaching out to people in the near future, and we can work something out. But those will be special episodes. I will keep the normal episodes to the actual Marvel content that we have. So What If, obviously, the weekly episodes, and then obviously Shang-Chi coming out as well. There's going to be a lot to unpack with that. But yes, that is us for the episode. As I say, give us a follow on Twitter, and yes, thank you again for all your support, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.